Hello and welcome to an episode that deals with shareholder and customer relations. I'm Swati Singh, teaching as a guest lecturer at Delhi University and other colleges. I'm also working as a corporate trainer and a creative director of an advertising agency. I have an experience of 12 years with media and 8 years in teaching at various North Indian universities. We would be today discussing shareholder and customer relations. The objectives: to understand the meaning of shareholder relations, to comprehend the usage and significance of shareholder relations in today's world, witness the challenges in maintaining shareholder relations, to understand the role of shareholder consultancies, to appreciate the need of customer relations, to develop an understanding of maintaining customer relations in today's competitive environment. An introduction. In the current market scenario, the value of shareholder and customer relations is immense. In fact, accepting the fact that both shareholders and customers are the king, the public relations person and organization today need to create strategies and practices good relations with both the audiences. Meaning of shareholder relations. Shareholder relations are the term used to describe the ongoing activity of companies communicating with the investment community. The public relations communication that quoted companies undertake is a mix of regulatory and voluntary activities. Investor relations is essentially the part of stock market life that sees companies interacting with existing shareholders, potential investors, analysts, and journalists. Shareholder relation can take many forms, like meeting with investors, company news releases, annual reports, and websites. The commonality is that each of the communication tools that companies utilizes are designed to inform stakeholders about the company, so that they can gain a greater understanding about the company's business, its governance, financial performance, and prospects. This is not to say that the communication is just one way. Shareholder relation is a dialogue, is as much about companies explaining their business to the investment community as it is about companies listening to the views and feedback from that very group. For many quoted companies, the dialogue will begin in the pre-IPO phase, when the company is profiling itself to what is often a new set of potential investors. Once on market, the communication continues with shareholders and financial market commentators, as well as with other potential investors. Reflecting its nature to inform and update the investment community, shareholder relation is a very much seen as long-term ongoing responsibility rather than an activity that companies undertake occasionally. With thousands of companies mushrooming and registering at the Bombay Stock Exchange, competition for investor, analyst and media attention is strong, with the risk of being that unnurtured relationship and low or even no visibility with such groups can result in quoted company having limited access to these audiences. The need and utility of shareholder relations. Fundamentally, the remit of shareholder relations is not only to create an awareness and understanding of your company amongst the investment community, it is also to help quoted companies gain access to capital and achieve liquidity in and fair valuation for their shares. The role and usage of media in managing shareholder relations. The financial journalists play an influential role in today's financial markets. They are relied upon by investors or shareholders and the public as a filter to assess the investment ability of companies, offering buy or sell advice to determine trading news and financial results, whether exceptional profits or trading downturns, and making sense of complex financial information. The need for companies to communicate effectively to this audience and ultimately to all shareholders is paramount. Coverage in the financial media will foster positive or negative profile and visibility for a company and acts as a backdrop to its shareholder relation program. Whereas public relations professionals are in the business of establishing, building, and protecting reputations, financial commentators are in the business of questioning these, attempting to put a true value on these reputations. Good financial public relations will act as a conduit between a company and the financial media and help this process. It is a far cheaper way of building a company's reputation than advertising, with the added benefit of being a third party or a journalist opinion which adds credibility. The journalist agenda. For a company to communicate effectively to media, it is imperative that its public relation representatives understand the dynamics of the financial journalist agenda. So, any engagement runs smoothly and effectively for both the company and the journalist. The recent rise in demand for financial and business news and cutbacks in the media has resulted in significant increase in workload for financial journalists. The speed of internet news flow means journalists are often expected to constantly update news stories throughout the day and night to stay on top of a story. Meeting deadlines is a crucial part of the journalist trade, which means a fast response from public relations advisors is essential. Financial public relation firms should understand the pressures facing the media and the best time to call journalists. Public relation advisors should always be prepared to anticipate the questions that will be asked and will appreciate to never phone a journalist on deadline unless the call is relevant to the story in question. Relationship building with the media. Relationship building should be at the heart of any media strategy. A positive relationship should smooth line of communication and generate goodwill between a company and media, and should go a long way to ensure that a company has its fair share of voice in the media. Companies should try to engage with media in a variety of ways, including one-on-one meeting, through the corporate calendar, and not just at results. Different news will require different approaches to the media. Key to any meeting or engagement is preparation, and companies should expect a briefing with their public relations advisors ahead of each journalistic meeting so they know what to expect. A public relations professional would have good relationship with relevant journalists, and if a meeting is taking place, will understand the basis on which the meeting is happening, the information required by the journalist, and how to handle any potential problem areas. If this process is not adhered to, companies may well find themselves in a difficult situation. Ill-prepared for an interview, handling an inquisitive journalist question awkwardly, and potentially giving away confidential information, and the wrong impression of the company. All key announcements by public companies need to be released to the market. Annual and interim results are major opportunities for quoted companies to engage with media, and this can mean several interviews with relevant journalists from the financial pages, news wires, and online media. Outside the normal reporting periods, companies may need to update shareholders with trading statements, other events that might spark communication, including announcements or key contracts or new business and board appointments. These are opportunities that can encourage media relationships and develop understanding of the company. The second dimension, shareholder relations consultant company, the role of shareholder relation consultant. Many quoted companies choose to use IR consultancies, either on a retainer basis or to provide advice and support through corporate actions such as mergers and acquisitions. Shareholder consultancies may specialize in specific niche services such as share register analysis or market sentiment studies, or conversely, may offer a broad range of shareholder related services to support the in house team, tailored to meet the client's requirements. Inevitably, some of the services that an aforesaid consultancy firm provide may also be offered by other financial advisors such as corporate brokers, registrars, and financial public relation companies, who may subcontract such services to shareholder consultancies. Niche services provided by shareholder consultancies. The services that shareholder consultancies typically provide are share register analysis and effective targeting. The foundation of any investor communication strategy lies in share register analysis. Over the years, the trading environment has become increasingly complex and sophisticated. The share register in itself is unlikely to reveal the actual owners of a company's share due to the large number of pooled nominee accounts and the advance of derivatives, stock lending, and trading accounts. Rigorous analysis of the register is essential for companies to understand who owns its shares, who is making the investment decision, and who holds the voting rights. Good analysis of the share register will indicate buyers and sellers of the shares, overweight and underweight positions, geographic location, investment style, market and sector weightings, funds under management, and non-holders. The consultancy will then augment this information using peer group analysis and market intelligence to build a picture of which institutional investors the company should target for company meetings. Accurate and well-researched data will allow shareholder consultancies to approach those fund managers with a high probability of investing in the stock to meet with company's management. Roadshows. Shareholder consultancies often assist companies in the targeting and organization of roadshows, which are a series of meetings with investors. Due to the intelligence provided by their shareholder analysis and contact relationship management capabilities. A shareholder consultancy will typically also have a working knowledge of the private client stockbroker market, which companies often overlook in favor of larger financial institutions. Including this audience in the investor relations strategy can offer access to a pool of loyal and long-term shareholders. Shareholder sentiment studies. Corporate governance is defined by the combined core demands that there should be a dialogue with shareholder based on the mutual understanding of objectives. The board as a whole has responsibility for ensuring that a satisfactory dialogue with shareholder take place. It is the chairman's responsibility to ensure the entire board is informed of shareholder sentiment. Many companies undertake sentiment survey to ascertain cognition and perception of their stock. Shareholder consultancy can support quoted companies by interviewing a cross-section of overweight, underweight, and absentee investors to gauge shareholder sentiment and offer strategic output. In-house training and support. Although most FTSE 100 companies employ dedicated shareholder relations professionals, smaller companies may not be able to justify having this function in-house. In this instance, shareholder relation responsibilities may be allocated to a finance or company secretarial role. Even with a dedicated shareholder relations officer or team in place, there can sometimes be periods when more resources is required. Shareholder consultancies can help quoted companies in these situations by providing specific advice on a given corporate action, all-round support on a retained basis, training and support to those who may find themselves with investors or shareholder relations responsibilities with no prior experience. Customer relations. An introduction to customer relations. The customer relationship management literature recognizes the long run value of potential and current customers. Increased revenues, profit, and shareholder value are the result of marketing activities directed towards developing, maintaining, and enhancing successful company customer relationships. These activities require an in-depth understanding of the underlying source of value that the firm both derive from customer as well as deliver to the customer. Customers are the building blocks of a firm. Therefore, in order to endure long-term success, the role of marketing in a firm is to contribute to building strong market assets, including valuable customer portfolio. Need and importance of customer relationship. Customer relationship is an integral part of company's public relations strategy, and its input should be actively considered in decision regarding the development of organizational capabilities, the management of value creation, and the allocation of resources. Customer relationship principles of public relations provide for a strategic and tactical focus for identifying and realizing sources of value for the customer and the firm, and can guide 5 key organizational processes, which are making strategic choices that foster organizational learning, creating value for customer and the firm, managing sources of value, investing resources across functions, organizational units and channels, and globally optimizing product and customer portfolios. Public relations officers are increasingly focused on managing customer relationships, the customer asset or customer equity. Customer relationship management explicitly recognizes the long run value of potential and current customers and seeks to increase revenues, profits, and shareholder value through targeted marketing activities directed towards developing, maintaining, and enhancing successful company customer relationships. These activities require an in-depth understanding of the underlying source of value the firm both derives from the customers and delivers to them. Current definition of customer relations. Customer relation is a strategic approach of public relations, which is concerned with creating improved shareholder value through the development of appropriate relationships with key customers and customer segments. Public relations through customer relations seeks to unite the potential of relationship marketing strategies and IT, that is information technology, to create profitable long-term relationship with customers and other key stakeholders. Public relations, by using customer relations, provide enhanced opportunities to use data and information to both understand and correlate value with the customers. This requires a cross-functional integration of process, people, operation, and marketing capabilities that is enabled through information technology and applications. Researchers have emphasized different customer relation management issues for public relation depending on whether they are considering a business to customer or business to business context. However, we focus on conceptual and methodological principles that are applicable in both the contexts, highlighting noteworthy expectations. Challenges. As per public relations study, 4 critical and interrelated actions required of firms that wish to understand how their action affect the value of their customer assets is by: number 1, creating a database; number 2, segmenting based on customer needs and behavior; number 3, forecasting CLV under alternative resource allocation scenarios; and number 4, allocating resources. Although the challenges for a public relation officer of creating an integrated database cannot be overestimated, they are primarily related to cost and implementation issues. In contrast, forecasting customer level CLV is a significant technical challenge for 4 reasons. First, the forecast carried out public relations should reflect changes in customer behavior in response to changes in or organizational decisions and the environment. Second, different customers will value their same product differently, and they will have different acquisition rates, retention rates, and margins due to cross buying. Therefore, forecasting models must account for customer heterogeneity. Third, it will be necessary to allocate cost to individual customers. In direct marketing context, firms are able to assign the cost of direct communication, delivery of the product, and promotion to individual customers. However, in many industries, public relation officer must create methods for accurately attributing the indirect cost of marketing action to individual customer or customer segments. Burgeon and colleagues in 2002 pointed out that cost allocation can be particularly challenging for firms that invest in programmatic efforts such as service improvement efforts or investment in physical infrastructure. A fourth challenge for a public relation officer is to understand and incorporate competitive effects on customer acquisition and retention. Accounting for competitors' acquisition campaigns might explain customer behavior in most markets. Optical scanner data provide competitive information in retail environments, but information about competitive behavior is seldom available in other contexts. Customer acquisition. For public relations, customer acquisition is the first step in building a customer base. Targeting, acquiring, and keeping the right customer entails a consideration of fit with current firm offering, future profitability, and contribution to the overall business risk. Many firms do not employ appropriate criteria to identify profitable customers, and their marketing programs are broadly communicated to potential customers who may or may not be profitable. Consequently, customer acquisition can be a costly and risky process, especially because new customer may not represent a good fit for the organization's value proposition, a phenomena that can often occur if acquisition is done outside previously targeted segments. Customer product fit becomes important because campaigns aimed towards new customers that change the positioning of a product can alienate existing customers. Certain public relation practitioners discuss the nature of the relationship or fit of the customer and the brand, finding that customers with different characteristics have different satisfaction thresholds and therefore different probabilities of repurchase. This leads to the more general observation that customer acquisition influences the diversity of the customer portfolio, thereby influencing business risk. But this aspect of customer relationship management is rarely studied in marketing. Lack of focus during acquisition activity is very likely to result in adverse selection, whereby the prospects that are least likely to be profitable are most likely to respond to marketing efforts. For credit companies, the problem is particularly worrisome because they must verify the suitability of all respondents, thus incurring screening costs. Certain public relation practitioners identified the problem of adverse selection by using data from a firm's customer relationship management system to target prospects likely to respond and be approved. This approach increases the number of customers who are approved while reducing the number of bad customers. Their analysis is post facto and the marketing message is not altered, but their results showed 30% to 75% improvement compared to traditional models that take into account either response likelihood or approval likelihood, but not both. This method can be extended to new customer acquisition and better targeting of costly promotion to migrate customer to higher level of lifetime value. Customer retention. Even though the optimal mix of marketing programs is unique to each business model, customer retention is often easier and cheaper than customer acquisition especially in stable market with low growth rates. An organizational emphasis on customer retention also makes sense when discount rates are low. Hence, customer retention has received considerable attention from marketers. In fact, many organizations have considered the management of CLV as equivalent to the management of customer retention. And now it's time for a quick recap. Shareholders and customer relations need to be maintained actively by the public relations person, especially because if the aforesaid audiences are satisfied with the organization, the benefits are manifold. Yet, there are very many issues like identifying the correct audience, providing information, understanding behavior patterns, which need to be acknowledged. Also, both the functions are challenging, yet once handled well, reap unlimited profit for any organization. That is all we have for you today. We hope you enjoyed this session. Let's see you again. Till then, thank you and namaskar.